Good morning. I'm Dale Carlton. I'm the current president of the Florida Cattlemen Association. I'm a Hardy County boy, been born and raised right here forever. I'm a 8th generation Floridian, 6th generation rancher. We have cow calf operation, a family business that touches in 3 counties. And it's a family affair with our group. I have an older sister. Of course, there's my mom and dad. I have an older sister and her 2 siblings, and I have 3 boys, or her 2 kids, and then I have 3 boys, and 4 of the 5 are currently involved in our operation. The baby, we just left him at college, so he looks to plug in when he finishes up his schooling. I'm happy to be here.
So my name is Rick Moyer. I'm president-elect of the Florida Cattlemen Association. I'm from the Williston area. I was raised in Volusia County, where it was mostly cattle and citrus back in the day. Now it's not so much, but I'm a first-generation cattleman. And, I look at, I cannot remember a time when I didn't want to be involved in the beef cattle industry specifically, and in agriculture as a whole. I've always looked up to people like Dale and those generational families, and wondered, I just wish I could do that. And I'll never be a 5th or 6th generation, but I'll be the first. Had to be a first somewhere. And I know I hear Dale talk about his dad and granddad all the time. I know he's proud of it. So I'm the first generation, and now there's a 2nd generation out there with 3 kids, and they're all involved in the cattle industry somehow. And I too am glad to be here, and hopefully we can make it some good conversation.
I guess our purpose of today is to kind of give an overview of our association. Our association was established in 1934. I just learned that too. We're 90 years into that. I didn't realize that it was quite that long, but and it was obviously established for the reasons to be able to come together and make sure everybody in the industry had one voice, and could reach the places it needed to reach. Our association is a 501c5, which is a nonprofit organization that can lobby. And we have different entities that fall under the umbrella of the Florida Cattlemen Association. One of those is our Florida Cattlemen's Foundation, which is a 501c3, which is a nonprofit. And like I said, it's a completely different entity, but it falls under the umbrella of the association. And then we also have our Florida Beef Council, which is a whole nother entity that is run out of the same building as the association in Kissimmee. As far as the Beef Council goes, we're kind of what we use to say we're a 2-hat state. We have, like I said, it's a different entity, and Mr. Jim Hanley, who is our executive VP for the association, is the CEO for the Beef Council, and then we have Ms. Deanne Maples, who is the executive director for the Beef Council. Back to the association, I'm kind of getting out of order here, but I just want to talk about what I say, our staff. We have a very strong and a very underappreciated staff because they're not underappreciated for any reason other than they do so much work that nobody knows anything about. That really keeps our association going. They really got their hands full this year, propping somebody like myself up to be the face of the association. But start off, Mr. Jim Hanley's our executive vice president. He's the boss man. He runs the show, and he's been doing it for a long time. I think he just started his 28th year as our vice president, executive vice president. Then we have Dusty Holly, who is our director of field services. who does a great job. We have Sam Ard is our Director of Governmental Affairs. He's our voice and our lobbyist up in Tallahassee. He is a very integral part of our association because, as we well know, nowadays it's so important that we're plugged in on a government level. What different than it was 20 years ago? But it is very, very important. One of our, when I say new, she's been on 4 or 5 years, but Miss Benita Whalen is our water environment and environmental manager. She has a seat at the table representing us at all the water management meetings and anything dealing with water or environmental stuff. She's the one that carries the water for us in those places. We have Abby Clapp, who is our communications projects and event coordinator. Abby's the young, very, very talented girl who is one of our biggest assets in the office. She does a lot of stuff. And then, as I mentioned earlier, Deanne Maples is our Beef Council executive director, and Deanne she's a rock star herself. She does a great job with our Beef Council. Just a few things that on a day-to-day thing that our association is involved in. We provide educational and business information to members through the publishing of our Florida Cattlemen and Livestock Journal. And we also send out a monthly e-news, which is an email that goes out that's very informative. We interact with an exhaustive list of government agencies and NGOs on behalf of the cattlemen's cattle producers. We act as a collective voice for our members to those outside of the industry. And we have 4 quarterly meetings throughout the year, set a fall meeting, an end of the year meeting, and our 3rd quarterly is in Tallahassee. And that's when we do our lobbying, and it rotates each year. This year it was in January. So this coming in 25, it'll be in March. So it rotates each year. But that's our 3rd meeting. We like to have a big crowd up there. We get briefed on our issues that we're fighting for and things that we need for our association. And we scatter out throughout the Capitol for a day and try to go see as many senators and representatives that we can, and just we have a little gathering reception that night that we go through there. We try to invite them to that, and also hand out a packet and raise their attention to what our issues are that we have prioritized for that year's session and for the budget and everything. So, and then we end the year in Marco Island with our annual convention, and that is where the officers bump up, some of us bump out. So another thing that we do, and it's funded through the foundation, that we have a Florida Cattlemen's Leadership Academy that we just finished the 10th year, and that's a program that Dusty Holly was had a big part of getting started, and it's all in the name of getting some young leaders trained up, educated and trained up and ready to help our association in a leadership way. In fact, this year we have our Beaver Yoder, who is I think he's 2nd vice president, and he's a graduate of the class. So it's taken some years for it to actually fall into place, but now it's working just like it was supposed to. So that's a very, very good program. We do nominations throughout the year, and Rick and I and Dusty, we went through the selection process a couple weeks ago, and we try to take 12 and the president-elect goes through the class with them. But we try to take 12 people, and where we're at now, which I think is very interesting. And so this was our 11th class, and just because you're nominated, there's a lot of people that get nominated the first time that are great candidates and will be grateful to go through the program. But where we're at now, we have a bunch of people that are nominated that this is either their second or third time. So it kind of turned into like this year, out of the 12 spots, 8 of them were either second or third nominations. So basically, we had 4 spots to fill with people that had only one year being nominated. So the selection process, it's tough. It's because they're nominated by county presidents or alumni or leaders of some sort, and they're very, very good candidates for to go through the class. But so my thing in mind, what I tell them and try to encourage them, don't get discouraged if you didn't get picked. Keep putting your name in the hat, keep getting nominated, and you'll eventually make it to where you go through the program. We also have a very active junior cattlemen's program. In fact, we have 650 members in the JFCA, which is very strong. And they do a lot of things. During the year, they have shows where they show up they'll have the kickoff show was a few weeks ago, and they had 450 head of cattle that they showed and 200 exhibitors. Like it's the first one I've been to, and I was like, wow, look at this. This is really neat because to me, I'm a coach. I've coached for a long time, and I love the kids, and the truth of the matter is they're our future and our next generation, and seeing that many engaged and wanting to be involved and engaged and getting them trained up to hopefully be a big part of our industry and our association one day. So very encouraging with our youth involvement, and our youth committee is very, very good. It was led really strongly by Stephanie Conrad for 15 years. She's just stepped down as the chairman. She's still involved, but we got Rick Hartman is now the chairman, and it's a very thriving thing. That's good to see. One thing I do want to talk about real quick, one of my initiatives as president this year is want to speak on membership. In 2019, we had a dues increase. And one of the main reasons was to standardize the increase, because our dues were different. They're scattered out throughout the state. This county was this much and this. So we wanted to make everything the same. And it was 19, almost 20 years since our last dues increase. Well, we obviously all know that the value of $1 was not the same as it was 20 years ago. And so there were several reasons that we needed to do it. And we did it. We knew we were going to get a little bit of pushback from some people. And the main thing was to get everybody educated on why we were doing the dues increase. And so that took a little time. Well, right after that, COVID hit. And so on the heels of the dues increase and then COVID hit, our membership really dropped off. Dusty doesn't really like for me to give numbers, but we were 800 members behind where we were before 2019. And we're in the bleeding stop, and we're on the rebuild now. We're gaining our numbers and getting headed back in the right direction. But just like I was saying earlier, there's strength in numbers, and we need our membership to be as big as it can be. There's not really a certain number on the top end that we're looking for, other than just as much as we can get. Right now, we have about 3,000 family memberships. We have 350 allied members and 650 junior members. So we're 800 behind, and we need to, I hope throughout the year, we've got a big membership drive going. Our membership committee chairman, Mr. Tom Bryant, and has Bear McCullough working with him too as his co-chair. They're really pushing the membership thing. They're meeting with district reps and trying to really push the membership thing to get our numbers back to where they're supposed to be. So it'll
I have a question.
Okay.
So what is required for membership?
You pay your dues. That's it.
So you don't have to be a cattle owner.
No,
And so is there different levels of membership?
no, it's all the same. There's one level and you can go on the Cattlemen's website and join. Now it's easier than it used to be. You can go right on the website and all the information's there and you can join up right there pretty easy. Where was I? Okay, still on the membership. So I was about done with that. I'll beat a dead horse, but it's a very important thing. Like I said earlier, we need all the numbers we can help, especially all the numbers we can get to help us. And like I said, there's strength in numbers.
Yeah, so whenever I go around and speak at an association, or even just trying to talk to somebody about, being a member, I always think, he said a time or two, there is strength in numbers. And we've always got somebody or something or something coming after us in agriculture, not just cattle industry, but in agriculture. We're always fighting. We always like to kind of sit there and be, we just like to mind our own business and just put our nose to the grind and work. But the fact of the matter is we've got people and things coming after us that don't want us to exist as producers. So what do you get for your $150? What do you get for your membership? And I always hear people say, well, what do I get? I get a magazine and a beef dinner, and that's not just it. There's literally hundreds of people out there volunteering to lobby for this industry. And I say, whenever I speak, I always tell them, if you own a quarter of an acre of land, or if you work for somebody that owns a quarter of an acre of land, it would be in your best interest to be a member. And if you're not a member, you're going to get the benefit from it anyway, because the Cattlemen's Association is relentless in trying to fight for land rights, property rights, landowner rights. So, and trying to keep government overreach at bay. And it is a constant battle. And so I always like to tell members and non-members what they're getting for their buck. And there's a list here, and it goes on and on. And this happens every single day. I can't stress you enough. Dale mentioned the staff that works at the FCA office and the volunteers. They are constantly going to battle for you. So one of the things, we spend a lot of time in Tallahassee lobbying for our interests. And so some of the things we've gotten done is a cattle enhancement board, which is a $1 million appropriations from the state for research and promotion. This year there was about 66 applicants for research with a $3 million ask, in other words. And so the cattle enhancement board is actually meeting today to decide, what research that they deem necessary for this year, and then how to appropriate that $1 million. And that cattle enhancement board is made up of people from all segments of this industry. You got producers, you got professors, you've got I think there's some allied members that are making the decisions for the cattle enhancement board. But that's $1 million of research that's been recurring since 2016, I think. I think one year we got 2 million. I think it was 2 million one year.
It was reoccurring and then it got taken away that it wasn't reoccurring.
Yeah, I misspoke there.
I'll give a little history on that, because I was on the executive committee when past president Henry Kemper, we tried to increase the beef checkoff, which I spoke about the beef council earlier. And the beef council, it operates off of the checkoff. It's $1 per head that is sold. And it's a mandatory dollar that we're supposed to pay as producers. Well, 50 cents stays in our state. 50 goes to the national level to NCBA.
And that's $1 per every animal sold.
Right. Well, we had a lot of things done in the right way to increase that to $2 so we could keep more money in our state. And we took it to when it got to Governor Scott's desk, he called it tax and he vetoed it, but he said, he just gave us money. He gave us $1 million for the Cattle Enhancement Board. So as long as he was in office, he took care of us every year. It really didn't accomplish what we wanted to accomplish, but it was kind of one of those things. Okay, he's giving us $1 million. We're not going to cry about that. We're going to take it. So we got it from him. It was reoccurring at first, and then the reoccurring got taken away from it at some point. I'm not sure exactly what happened there. So since it wasn't reoccurring, we have had to lobby for it hard every year. And we've gotten anywhere from $2 million to zero one year.
We did get zero.
We got zero, and that makes it hard on y'all, on IFAS to be able to do their research projects. So we're in pretty good shape right now. We got our $1 million. What's in the works? We're hoping that trying to get it back to where it's made reoccurring. That's the plans behind that. But right now they're working, trying to whittle down $3 million of proposals to $1 million today. They're doing that right now, as Rick said earlier.
Yeah.
So,
we're good. So another thing we've done, got passed recent back in 2022 is no Florida sales tax on fence materials and trailers. And that is a tax exemption that is permanent. So I think the figures were made that if you buy $2,200 worth of fence materials for your place, the money you save in that will pay your dues for the Florida Cattlemen Association, and that's just 1 year. We know the way things cost it these days. It's not hard to spend $2,200, but a couple of years when they first started, there was some ambiguity in there, so we've had to go back and look at the language and interpret what constitutes confinement and fencing. And they've done that, and that's been a success. And now when you would go purchase these materials, a lot of the suppliers they weren't familiar with the program, and some were and some weren't. You had to bring paperwork with you, or some of the suppliers would have paperwork, and it was just a mess. So we've gotten the Teams card, the tax exempt materials, agricultural materials. And it's a card. You can go on the FDAC's website, and you can get that card if you're a bona fide ag entity, and you can get that Teams card and take it to wherever you get your supplies and hand it to them. And if they don't know about it, at least you can help educate them more and make the process easier. But that's up and going. So if anybody out there is not familiar with that, go to the FDAC's website, get your Teams card, and start getting some tax exempt stuff. So we also got 4-H and FFA activities are now excused absences at all Florida schools. In the past, when I was coming up, we were showing steers at the fair or something. It wasn't necessarily excused absence, and students only get so many excused absence every year before they start getting penalized. And I think it's an awesome thing. These FFA 4-H members that are out there, if they're not in school and they're at a function, they're probably getting a lot more out of that than in some cases than they would be at school and getting a good education. I also helped the Florida FFA get funding to make every agriculture student in Florida, middle and high schools, an FFA member by providing monies to pay their FFA dues. This is huge. I believe that is huge. Being a product of FFA, back when I was coming up, it was Future Farmers of America. And like I said, I'm a first generation cattle. And I didn't know, I wasn't raised on a ranch farm anywhere. FFA was my outlet. And it's an outlet for a lot of other students that otherwise wouldn't have an opportunity to even see what agriculture is all about, let alone the ones that have passion for it, don't really know where to go to learn it and excel. So FFA and 4-H, but this particular deals with FFA. The leadership skills that they develop in students that want it is second to none. They teach entrepreneurial skills, and I just think it provides opportunity. So if they can help pay somebody to do that otherwise couldn't afford it, I think that's a great thing. Of course, we're always working with UF and IFAS. We're plugged in with them pretty steady. We always try to go to Tallahassee and lobby for IFAS's needs, so they can keep functioning and do what they need to do and help us along as well. There's a constant monitoring of water policy set forth by different water management districts. That is an ongoing process, and it is constant. And we feel that we've got a good rapport with the water management districts. And for years past, they're always invited to our quarterlies. And I can remember, wasn't long ago, it seemed like, they'll tell me if I'm wrong, but Cliff back there like one year, like everybody was gone from the water management district. One year that were there the previous year, and we had to start over. And part of that process is just educating the new people that are in there, and to what's actually happening out there on our ranches. So, and then we like to. There's always somebody out there telling false truths, false information. So we're always trying to stay on top of that. We also have a state political action committee that we help donate to the legislators that we feel should be elected to help us with our issues. People can donate to that. We have a bull sale every year at the convention. People donate bulls, and the proceeds go to our political action committee so that we can continue to lobby in Tallahassee. What is it, Dale? There's 10 people in the legislature that are directly related with ag.
Yeah, there's 167 or so in the House and the Senate, and there's 9 or 10 people that have ag backgrounds. Now, we still have a lot of support. The people that don't have ag backgrounds, we have a lot of support. But our leadership right now in Tallahassee is in a place that is very, very good for us right now. I don't know. We hope it's there for a while, but with Commissioner Simpson, he's a farmer too. Ag is a big deal to him and his family. And then our Senate president, Ben Albritton, will be our Senate president in November. And he's a citrus guy, but he's also ag is very, very important to him. And to have those people in leadership is very comforting, but at the same time, knowing that it's not going to last forever, it's important that we take advantage of that situation and opportunity right now the best that we can, because they're all in for our industry and for our association, and that's not always the case. Rick and I and Cliff, we've been through some times where we couldn't even get the governor's ear. Now we've worked through that and through some hard work, and now we feel like we're on the same team now. But there was a time when it's tough when you can't get the commissioner of ag's ear and the governor's ear at the same time. It makes it real hard to get much done as an association. So we really feel strongly that this is time to take advantage of the situation that we're, for lack of a better word, we're very blessed to be in as a state right now.
Yeah. So just to conclude on that a little bit, tied that into membership, because that's just what we mentioned from the political standpoint and getting things done in our state or stop bad things from happening in our state. It's just a little bit of what you get for your membership. And again, I always say, if you work for somebody that's got a quarter acre, if you own a quarter acre, you don't have to own a cow. You're going to benefit from the Florida Cattlemen Association. So, through those efforts.
we're kind of jumping back around, but Rick brought membership back up. One thing I failed to mention is on the dues increase, it also allowed us to hire some more staff like Bonita Whalen, for our environmental and water manager, because we didn't have enough staff to be able to be there. And I didn't realize this. I went to the Everglades Coalition with her back in January. I was nervous because I didn't know what we were doing. And she just said, Dale, it's just a presence. It changes their whole conversation when they know that the Cattlemen Association is just present. Doesn't have to say a word, but they completely change the way their dialogue. Ag is, and in fairness to them, it's in a different spot now than it was 3 or 4 years ago. They realize that all of them realize that we're not necessarily the bad guys, that we want it to be good for everybody. So, but with our increase in our dues and our membership, that having been able to pick up Miss Bonita has been a huge help for our association.
We're also, while we're the Florida Cattlemen Association, we interact and feel we're very aligned with the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, the NCBA. We work closely with them on a lot of issues. And in fact, I want to brag on the Florida Cattlemen's Association. We go to a lot of those NCBA meetings, and they look to Florida a lot to see how we're doing things, because we're so unique. And I would say the staff, Jim Hanley, Dusty, staff has done an excellent job. And we're looked to as a leader in the industry all over the country. Some of the things they're working on is the hours of service and electronic logging devices issues. That has to do with trucking. They put you have to have an electronic logging device in your truck, and you can only drive so many hours if you don't have a partner riding with you or whatever. But for the cattle industry, we've got live animals, and when they load a truck for a 24, 30-hour ride, it would be more stress for those cattle to be unloaded somewhere halfway or sitting on the side of the road so that the driver could sleep and do all that. So we push for exemptions for that. And we will continue to do so, and hopefully make it a continuous order that we can, operate longer hours. Want to go through lab grown meat?
Yeah. Another issue that y'all might be aware of, just last week, we had a lawsuit placed against our state, against the commissioner and the governor, because of the law he signed in April against banning lab grown meat. I hate to even call it meat, lab grown protein. And so California they're suing us because it's unconstitutional that we've banned it. The reason, and that's I was going to say too, like talking about the governor DeSantis being in a better place with him, he has really turned into an advocate for the real kind of beef, and not for the people trying to, basically what they say they're trying to do is basically put the farmers and ranchers out of business with this lab grown protein. And so we've got that going on, and I was talking to the Commissioner Simpson last week, and he says, we're going to fight that lawsuit like a tiger. So that's going on. What it is, they're trying to label it as meat and put it on the shelf beside our product and beside the other product, beside chicken and pork too. I mean, and that's not what it is. It is a lab grown protein. It is not a lab grown meat, and it's a whole labeling thing that's just not fair to us. And particularly speaking on beef, they go through all the regulations that they have to go through, very strict to get their stamp of approval, and have been going through all those things for years and years. And this lab grown protein hasn't been through that, don't have the years of research and study behind it. And not to mention, nobody knows what the long-term effect is that it has on on the consumer. And that's one of the biggest things that is concerning about that is that they're wanting to push it and they don't know what it's going to do later on down the road. And we know what our product does. It's got the time behind it and the science and the proof that it's very healthy form, the best form of protein, in my opinion.
And we're not against entrepreneurship, capitalism, but don't call it meat. It's not meat. Tell us what the ingredients are that it took to grow it. Put and list that on the label. Make it fair. So the death tax is always an issue at NCBA. The death tax, the inheritance tax. So they're always constantly working on that. If you're not familiar with that, if you have, I think it's over a certain amount of value on your land and you die, you have to pay taxes on that. And just don't think it's fair that when you purchased it, you paid tax. Every day you owned it, you pay tax on it. And now when you die, you have to pay tax on it. So that's a continuous issue, and the NCBA along with the FCA will be on the front with that. So what else you got, Dale?
I think we're running out of time, but I want to talk on the rural and family lands funding that our governor and the commissioner are been very big support of, trying to get our green space conserved, obviously for the reasons of we got 1,100 people here moving here a day. Our state is growing very fast, and it's growing a lot of concrete very fast too. It's coming in on us, and they're in big support of that program. And basically what it does is as the landowner, you don't sell your land, you just sell your development rights. And what it does is that stays with the deed of that property forever, and it'll stay as a working ranch or a farm or whatever it is. It has to stay in ag production it can never be developed. And they've been working. We just, in the rural and family lands program, they just surpassed the 100,000 acre mark that has been put in that program and has been conserved. So that was quite a milestone for that. But it's a program that is very good and helps our industry and our association out a lot. That's about it.
Well, we have some upcoming events.
Yeah, that's right. Let's do some announcements. Okay. All right. Just want to bring a few things to y'all's attention. In September 12th and 13th is our fall quarterly. That's in Brevard County. And of course, everybody's invited. We'd love to see a big crowd there. And this coming Friday is the Bill Barthel Memorial Quality Florida Cattlemen Association heifer sale at Arcadia Stockyard. And it'll start at 1 o'clock. There'll be some stuff before then, some lunch and fellowship time and all that, but the sale starts at 1, and be good if anybody's looking for some good heifers. Come support. You got something you want to talk about?
Yeah, don't forget the PAC fundraiser February 1st. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge at the barn at Mazak Ranch. We're going to have a PAC fundraiser. We're going to have some live auctions, some silent auctions, some raffles. Have a great time, a big time. A lot of people are going to show up and have some saddles and some. I hope we have a saddle there and some guns and some knives and fishing materials, some cow whips and everything, some paintings, art, and have a great time. Raise money for our PAC.
It's all in the name of raising money for our PAC, so we can maybe swing a little bigger stick in Tallahassee, have some more money to give out to the legislators that we're supporting.
Good. Any questions?
Do you all have any questions for our guests today?
Keep them easy, please. I don't know.
I'm not an attorney, but I don't,
Agreement. For the. I just wondering if that alleviates somehow alleviates.
yeah,
That's a good question, Austin. I'm not sure about
I'm not
that.
an attorney, but
I
you,
believe one thing to do is slower, because you just.
yeah,
It does, when you do put an easement on your property, it devalues that property because obviously the development rights are gone. So that helps, yes.
but the land does stay on the tax rolls and you pay tax on it
Yes.
every year.
Yeah.
Well, it's inheritance.
It doesn't have to. I mean, you can file for an exceptional when you're in it.
Yeah.
This was a team program, the taxes are covered on finding, fencing areas, I think you said as well. You have to be a agricultural business entity to get it, or
Yeah,
you just be someone who just has to be cows.
Well, I think you have to be a viable agricultural business. Now, I'm not sure how big you have to be. I'm not sure the answer to that, but I'm sure if you have some cows on a piece of property, and you may not have to, you don't even have to own the property. If you lease a piece of property, I mean, you've got cows on it. If it's 5 cows or 2, I would imagine, and you're building fence on it, it's confinement for animals. I believe you'd qualify. I believe.
Appreciate it.
That's something that we need to take advantage of. It's new. The whole team card is not, I guess, 6 months. You went into effect in January, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't remember it myself. I got a friend, about 15, 20 acres, quite a few cow on it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Maybe something to take advantage of.
Sure, absolutely.
Cattle trailer, maybe, but went and bought a cattle trailer, it'd be
You
exempt.
don't have one, so we can probably use one.
Yeah,
that's
You can
right.
borrow one every 10 acres.
Yeah.
So one
Been
thing
there.
with the team card is you have to be enrolled with best management practices to get that, in the application process for being.
Okay.
So
Thank you, Matt.
Any other questions? Oh, any closing remarks?
Andrea, a comment. If I'm on,
Go ahead. You're muted.
Hey, Margaret, if you can unmute, you can go ahead and ask your question.
oh, good. Special thanks to Cattlemen for the work that they have done that they are doing with FFA. And I was a recipient of some of that with 4-H. We certainly thank you for the support and encouragement. I'm delighted to hear about your younger leadership programs for new people. I'd like to thank you for your role in helping folks realize or see the importance of conservation, like you spoke about just recently, because where the public is invited, they can learn all sorts of things. I sat in on a seminar down with Strickland and learned a lot about conservation projects. And one of the things that carried me away was to help people realize that if we don't do the conservation, if people who have the property don't do conservation projects, then Florida really is going to have lots of tourists, which is wonderful. But we don't really want concrete from Atlantic to the Gulf. So it's really important not only to get the conservation projects in mind, but be sure that you know what you're getting into. But thanks to the Cattlemen. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. Any
Yes,
other-
that's all.
Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Margaret.
Okie doke.
I just heard something briefly on the, little issue with the, EIDs and, maybe RCAP is stepping in and wanting to put EIDs on every, do y'all know what's going on with that or, is it a complex issue? Me and Ricky Hartman just talked about it. That's the first time I ever heard about it, Saturday. The RCAP and trying to get EIDs on all cows, and packers and everything. I just never if y'all heard of that or.
Last I heard, they didn't want us putting the EID on.
There is some discussion going on the whole traceability thing, that's trying to be hashed out. It's, with the rule that we have in place. Basically the way I'm understanding things, that it's probably gonna come to that for that all cows and calves are gonna to be traced, and it's for, for disease and to be able to follow them wherever they go. But it's a long ways, it's a little ways from there, but it is I don't know about the whole RCAF thing, but there is a lot of talk about traceability still going on right now.
Yeah, so the biggest, there's people for it and people against it. We've been kicking this can down the road for a long time. And FCA's taking the stance, that we need traceability in Florida, because we get a case of anything, I'm gonna just say foot and mouth, and we can't isolate it. They can shut our borders down like that. They can shut it down.
And as many people that are coming into our state to visit, for tourism, or coming not just from other states, but from other countries, it would just take one person to carry it on their foot, and then we have an outbreak, and it shut the whole state down.
So we shut it down in a hurry.
Yeah.
And all these ports of entry that we have, we're an at-risk state. In other words, we're very vulnerable, and we want to be able to trace that to its source. And if it's true that it's there or whatever, wherever it's at, we can isolate it to that, and commerce can keep going, and we can keep selling our calves. I'd hate to see a hurricane come through and we can't, in August and September, we're trying to ship all our calves, and we're 3 foot of water, we can't move our calves because we couldn't isolate.
Is that, in my opinion, that would be best ran by like beef council. Somebody that's in charge of that. It's all on one system.
Well, that's-
Right now we've tried so many different things, and they've all kind of failed, but if everybody's on the same page.
And that's the method.
ran by-
Yeah, that's the method behind the whole U.S. cattle trace. That's the method with the madness there, but it's hard getting everybody, because you gotta sign up, you gotta get involved, you gotta get tags and everything, and it's hard to get everybody to buy into that. But that is the whole method behind the madness, is with that, exactly what you're talking about.
Bill, I would just say that you will be the guy that shut down the state. Because you're counting.
Right, and yeah,
One person.
and what people don't understand when you're talking about shutting down the state, it means like, it don't matter if there's a load of calves headed out west, they're gonna stop. I mean, it's just the markets are gonna stop. Whatever commerce is on the road headed somewhere else, not getting out of the state, what are we gonna do with them? That's what a lot of people don't. I mean, it's just, there's not a good answer to that. And people, and me being one of them, I didn't realize the importance of it until being involved and getting educated, but think about what COVID did. I mean, we had 1 million head of fat cattle that needed killing, and they weren't getting killed, and they were getting overfed, and then they start breaking down, and then, so it would be something similar to that.
So this year's theme is loyal to the land. And I have some of these stickers that Dale's provided as well as some smaller ones. So be sure to stop by this table up here and get one and help promote that. Thank you so much for being here. We hope that you can come back and join us in September on the 10th for Hannah Baker's presentation, which is going to be an overview of the cattle market and planning for the future. And so, as always, whenever I send you guys the recording from today's webinar or Zoom event, I will also include the log, the information, the link to register for our next Ona Highlight program, which is going to be happening here this Friday. And this is in cooperation with the Fish and Game Commission and the USDA. It's, I think, a full day program, isn't it, Hans? They're going to be in this building, and then also they're going to have, I think, at least 1 or 2 tracks set up in front of the guest house. And they're coming probably the day before to set up those tracks if you see some people around about here. As far as I know, this event is full. But you are welcome to reach out to Lacey McClenathan to find out. She's the one handling registration for that. The next event is one that Dr. Moyer is involved with, and it is the Applied Reproductive Strategies in Beef Cattle Beef Task Force meeting in Athens, Georgia. So that is a 2-day event with a really nice agenda. And like I mentioned earlier, I will send this flyer to you again. I believe you probably saw it last month if you're with us regularly, but you're welcome to check that out. And then our field day is coming up for October the 10th here at the Research Center. If you've never visited and you've always thought you might like to, this is an excellent time to come see the facilities, meet the faculty and staff, and get out and see some of the research plot. And also you'll have an opportunity to learn about the awesome work that our students are doing, as well as visiting with our sponsors and enjoying a very, very excellent steak lunch. So check that out soon. Registration presently is $20 for the general public through the 13th of September. And then after that date, the price goes up to $30. So be sure and get on and register soon if you'd like to come. Another event that's going to be held here at the center, and also I think in Live Oak, is this pasture, rangeland, forage insurance workshop. So the date for that here is October the 24th. And is registration open now, Hannah? So I will also send this flyer so you can get in there and get signed up for this. If you don't already do so, we invite you to come back and follow us daily through social media. You can watch us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. And you can always check out our website for some helpful resources. And then if you're not a member of our contact list, send us an email and request that you be added. Every Friday, we try to send out a newsy email that has information on events happening at the center, graduations, visitors, all kinds of cool things are in this email. So it's a very good way to easily stay on top of what's happening.